So I think we gotta kind of address the elephant in the room here, right? Which is gonna be this Lumix X9, man. Lumix S9. So my last video, apparently a lot of y'all thought that like that's what I was talking about, like heavy in that video, and I wasn't. To be honest, I wasn't talking about the S9 at all. Like just a little bit, but not to like give my full true thoughts on it, right? Because apparently like, this camera has caused a lot of uproar. It definitely has caused an uproar in the community, in the YouTube community. Some stuff was warranted, some stuff wasn't. You know what I mean? Opinion is it's opinion based. That's what YouTube is. However, today I want to take a look at this objectively speaking, right? Because honestly, I love Lumix cameras. I had that GH5, which is still to me the GOAT. If I was just wanting to spend my money frivolously, I was gonna buy another one. You know what I mean? Like to keep it a buck, but I loved everything about the Lumix. I loved everything about my GH5. I had a G7. I had a G9. Like I was Lumix gang. You feel what I'm saying? Shout out to Big Cook. But my rule of thumb is this: as we're talking about this camera objectively, if it does not apply, then let it fly. You feel what I'm saying? Like understand this, man. With this camera stuff, every camera that's coming out right now is not made specifically for you. But that also doesn't mean that we get to give camera passes, even if they may be lackluster in some areas. So we're gonna take a look at that today and kind of determine a couple things about this camera. Number one, the first thing gonna be is why people may love this camera. Number two is gonna be why people may be upset with YouTubers in regards to this camera. And then number three, we'll get into what I actually truly think about this camera. Now, for those who are new to my channel, let me go ahead and just kind of give you all some housekeeping rules here just so you all can know. My channel is PG-13, meaning that we say things such as shit, hell, damn, ass. It's PG-13, so we get the occasional F-bomb. I'm gonna save that for later. But other than that, everybody who subscribes to my channel is at least like 30 and up, so we get to have real conversation like adults. I want to hear none of that shit down in the comments. Like, oh my God, I couldn't watch this video because of the cursing. Like, you're an adult. I know you curse. If you don't, then it's not for you. It's okay. Welcome to the show. I am your host, Shawn. Be nice. Let's get into this conversation. And since it's a late night, grab you a cup of wine or something like that. Shouldn't be too long, but it's gonna get me to talk a little bit more truthfully. Now, why would people love the Lumix S9? First of all, it's at the $1,500 price point. Full frame body, does 4K, does 6K, takes great stills. It has this hybrid zoom option when you get to like kind of take a 28 mil lens and turn to like something ridiculous like a 640 mil lens. It has a LUT feature type of thing where you can kind of like cycle through LUTs, kind of like how Fuji has like their own their recipes for their film emulations, where you can kind of create your own film emulations using LUTs on your camera and just take pictures through the LUTs. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong. If someone was just starting out, right? So let's just say I have a kid, maybe who just finished 8th grade, maybe who's going to high school, maybe graduated high school, maybe even graduated high school, and they're trying to, they want a camera. They've been doing some research. They're like, man, I really want a full frame camera. You know what I mean? This may be a valuable option for people, especially if somebody's like in your family, like, who has Lumix cameras, right? Let's say if they got family members that are diehard Lumix fans. This is a camera that Lumix needed. This is the first one out. So is the first one going to be crazy? No. I mean, if we look at, some of Sony's first attempts at thing, like if we look at the Sony ZV-1, that camera wasn't perfect when it first came out. If we look at the Canon R5, that camera wasn't perfect when it first came out. Now, in all fairness, they kind of been doing shit like this for a while, but I think that was kind of first time doing like 8K RAW on the camera. So there was overheating things. Like, I'm starting to say that like, when shit first come out, there's going to be issues. Like, we have to realize that there's not going to be a perfect product. There's not a single piece of technology out there that does not have its faults. Okay, let's go ahead and just set that baseline right there. So for somebody who doesn't care about those faults, this camera may be a perfect buy for them, especially at that price point. And it has a phase detect autofocus. I mean, Panasonic has done everything that essentially we wanted within this camera. I'm not gonna say we, because I don't want that shit. But what I am saying, for somebody who has been looking at a camera like this is a great valuable option for them. Who's not looking to record content for long. And we also have to keep in mind that because the way the humans' attention spans are getting shorter and shorter and shorter, a 10-minute, 15-minute time recording limit may not be such a huge deal for them. You know what I mean? Like, again, you're looking at it from your case needs, your need case, but everybody doesn't have the same need case. This may be for somebody who's like on the road, traveling real quick, want to get a couple quick clips, and they good and they gone. Now that we've looked at that objectively on why the S9 is a valuable option for some, let's kind of talk about why it may not be so valuable in why YouTubers kind of caught so much flack behind this camera. Okay. Man, I'm taking another sip of this wine for that. Also, what do y'all think about the lighting setup? I actually try. I try it. Like, I'm trying. I try with the lighting setup. I read it. Why were people finding so much issues with YouTubers in regards to this camera? It's not that the content creators and the YouTubers were not being truthful about the camera, right? It's just the way that it was done. And I think that's the problem when it comes to like YouTube and ethics thing and stuff like that. And even with Lumix, right? The shit that happened with Jared Undone, as far as like, you know, them only want to rock with him if he's gonna talk positive about the camera. And I don't know how true this is, but apparently there's been reports that the bird photos, like for the autofocus for like the birds and shit like that, like apparently that was taken on a Nikon camera from way back when, I guess. And Lumix was using those, you know, images to market their new camera. Now, I'm not gonna lie to you, if this is true, yeah, I'm gonna use it now. That's some fuck shit. If this is true. But if it's not, you know, again, if it doesn't apply, let it fly. But if it is, come on, Lumix, bro, like that's unacceptable. And then on top of that, you know, let's think about this, right? Because some people was kind of like, you know, even with the Japan thing, which Gerald touched on, it was a simple fact that, like, for example, if I had a wedding, let's say I did a wedding, and at this wedding, the ceremony was shit, the getting ready was shit, the portrait session was shit, I already got no photos, but it comes to reception time, got that open bar, me and my homies having a good time, I don't give a shit about none of that no more. Like, I worry about that when I get to it, you know what I mean? Right now, I'm having a great time, this wedding is fun, we feeling good, we got juices flowing, like, The same can be said if you send me on a trip to Japan. If you send me on a trip to Japan, I'm there with my boy Neil Lopez, Purpose Lens, Big Cook. I'm there, like Big Cook and like my homie like that. He was a cool YouTuber, but like Neil, that's my man. It's Neil Lopez. I make sure I link these YouTubers in the description below. I'm there, if I'm there with my boy Ben Lover or Tech, like if I'm there with my homies, I don't give a shit about this camera for real. Like I'm there having a good time. We look it up, we snapping. Shit look cold. I got my LUTs in, like. Yeah, so you're gonna get some positive feedback on that camera. Like, let's just go ahead and keep it a buck. Now down the line, I'm like, oh shit, wait a minute, I don't know, man. Like when I turn this on, like I don't want to be overheat. Like, you know, you may run into situations like that, but you know, I'm liquoring you up essentially, like, and it's no different than if you know what I'm saying. If one of these dudes running games on these little chicks, let me tell you right now, put y'all on game right now. If you take a chick's mind, her body will follow. It's no different than anything else, bro. Like this is just the name of the game. If I get you in your right mind state, you're going to say what I need you to say. Like, you're going to agree with whatever I need you to agree on. You're going to like whatever I need you to like because you're feeling good. I've done psychological one-on-one on you, and it's working out. That's just how the shit works, bro. It just is what it is. And this is the perfect example of don't hate the player, hate the game. So you have people getting upset with these YouTube because they're like, since they glossed over like some of the biggest cons for this camera, it makes them kind of come off as untrustworthy or like they're being paid or bought. Now, 9 times out of 10, these YouTubers were not paid to be on this trip. Like, more likely, these are personal expenses they did for themselves to kick it with their homies. But the consumer, the viewer who is not privy to that type of knowledge, it's not a good look for them, right? It just doesn't look like, I don't know about that. I don't know how I feel about that. Especially when you have a big name calling out a company like Lumix for like shady practices and shit like that. And the reason why they did what they did is just not a good look. So to me, the YouTubers have to understand the consumers, the reviewers. I mean, they have to understand the watcher standpoint, the viewer standpoint. But also the viewer also has to understand that, one, at the end of the day, this is a business. And sometimes, especially with YouTube, I'm just gonna keep it a buck with you. Sometimes ethics don't always line up with truth. It's that wine. It's the wine. I'm talking that shit today. It's that wine. What are my thoughts, my own personal thoughts on the camera? Before we get there, man, if you all enjoying the content, man, please give it a like, thumbs up, comment, subscribe, all that good shit. Y'all know the drill. It's your boy Shawn Be Nice. And if you all want to learn more about video production, like BTS and stuff, what I do, I'm a documentary filmmaker and I do corporate interviews. That's the Brooks Media channel. Brooks Media with 2 S's. If you don't have the S, you ain't spelling it right. So, quick little plug. Now, my thoughts about this camera. And I want to hear y'all thoughts about this too if I get into mine. Like, comment down below. What's y'all thoughts about this camera? But for me, it's not for me, right? The biggest issues for me is like, because in my opinion, in 2024, it's inexcusable. In 2024, no camera should have a recording limit. Period. I don't care what it is. No camera should have a recording limit. If the ZV-1, if I remember correctly, the ZV-1 don't have one. The ZV-E10, they don't have one. The Canon R8 doesn't have one. Like there's so many cameras, like essentially at around this price point, I mean, even though it's not full frame, shit, the A6700, you know what I'm saying? Like, I got a viewfinder, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so you got that part right there. And then on top of that, you remove the viewfinder. So let's just say if this was for the enthusiast, the travel photographer, the travel filmmaker, it, to me, because of the retro style, it looks more like a travel photographer. But if I'm a travel photographer, I'm an enthusiast, I need an EVF. I want an EVF. So not giving the EVF for this camera, not having a mechanical shutter, if I remember correctly, on this camera, like, in my opinion, that's pretty fucking huge. Oh, I'm sorry, that's two F-bombs. My bad. Let me take that back. That's pretty bad. That's pretty huge. That's pretty huge for me. I just feel like there's more that they could have, like, you know, even if it said 30 minutes, but a 15-minute recording limit on 4K, absolutely not. That is inexcusable. So for me, that's not a camera for me. You know what I mean? Like, to be real, it probably makes even more sense just go grab you a Lumix S5. Whole time though, it makes more sense to go grab a Lumix S5. Matter of fact, we can look the shit up right now. Okay, I'm sorry. You want the autofocus. So let's look at the Lumix S5 II. The Lumix S5 II right now, used on Adorama, is $1,538. eBay, $1,430. You can get it from Macy's brand new for $17.97. Lumix, like, who are you trying to aim at with this camera then? Because then on top of that, Sony ended up dropping a price on their Sony A7C. If I'm not mistaken, on one of those cameras, they ended up dropping a price for it to be closer to Lumix. And again, all these cameras that I mentioned, the Lumix S5 Mark II and the Sony A7C, both of them have viewfinders. Neither one of them have record limits. Both of them have mechanical shutters. So you telling me for extra, what, $200-$300, and in some cases damn near cheaper, I can get me a better camera? Nah, dog. The S9, listen, in my opinion, non-objectively speaking, that camera ain't it. It just ain't it. Y'all can call it what y'all want. Y'all can sit there and try to like, nah, man, this shit gonna be cold. I understand that they were trying to battle Fuji, but they missed the mark. And it's okay to tell them they missed the mark, because that means when the Lumix S9 Mark II come out, that motherfucker gonna be fire. It's gonna be fire. But if you sit there and try to hold their hand through the process and thinking like, oh, nah, man, it's cool. Like, this is what I mean by the viewers and the YouTubers, like that trust boundary thing. It's like, nah, be like, call your ass out, because that camera is not it. For, I guess you could say, for most people who don't know shit about cameras. But in my opinion, right, even we come like from an objectively speaking standpoint, in my opinion, if you're doing any research on cameras, you're going to come across other cameras like the Lumix S5 Mark II, the Sony A7C, the Sony A6700. However, you start looking at cameras, you're going to start to notice like, man, wait a minute. So these cameras don't have record limits. These cameras got mechanical shutters. These cameras got EBS. Why am I looking at this camera? Why am I looking at this camera? So for you, like that, I think that was the biggest issue for people, like in having a level of distrust for their favorite reviewers, because they feel like they felt them. They felt them, because it's like, because the thing is, there are other cameras out there that they would give harder shit to. But this Lumix S9, low key, they kind of letting shit ride, and I feel the viewers on that, bro. Like, for me, I don't have a dog in this fight, 'cause I don't give a shit about Lumix cameras. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, to the point where like I'm not gonna buy none. Like, I'm happy, I'm content with all three cameras that I have. I don't need no extra cameras. But if I'm watching you and I see that you kind of like giving this camera a lot of passes, it's gonna rub me the wrong way. Let's just keep it a buck. It's gonna rub me the wrong way when you're not calling shit out that needs to be called out to make the next version better. Y'all holding Lumix hands does not give y'all a better product. Keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. If you want them to get better, how you think boxers get better? When they last fights, the coach tell them like, nah, bro, you need to do this. Like, yeah, you cold, you got hands, but you still need to improve on these areas. That kind of was not what was done, at least from what I saw. So with that being said though, man, I want to like make this video even longer than it already is. You feel what I'm saying? But I do think that we do have to find a balance between ethics and truth telling when it comes to trying to, one, still get our bag, right? Like, so viewers, I would tell you this. Let me go ahead and sum this up. Viewers, understand that these, like, for some YouTubers, like, this is their job, okay? This is their job. They got a quota to meet. They got shit to do. Like, they have to, they got to play ball a little bit. No different than you got to play ball at your job. You can't sit there and talk shit to your supervisor. Like, if he on some BS, you got to like, you know what I'm saying? Like, some stuff you just got to like accept. You know what I'm saying? It's no different than YouTubers. So you got to sometimes get them a little grace as well. YouTubers, but also understand that your viewers have the right to feel the way that they feel. And if it's a business, you analyze your market and see how you can change it. How can you make it better for the next one? You don't get pissy at them and try to like defend it all. Like, no, just take the feedback back analyze, right your wrongs, move forward. That simple. But I'm really interested in hearing what y'all think about this whole topic as a whole. I think I'm done with it. I won't be talking about the S9 no more. I guess that's about that camera I want to say. Other than that, it's your boy Shawn Be Nice. Ooh, it feels so good to say that. It's your boy Shawn Be Nice, and I'm out, man. Deuces.